Thanks, Zoom. Awesome. So, and as members join throughout the event, those who aren't running for a board position, we invite you to introduce yourself in the chat. Please feel free to share your name, pronouns, and your favorite thing about the South Philly Food Co-op. The governance committee has shared a set of predetermined questions with all the candidates and asked them to prepare responses. We'll be calling on each candidate one at a time to share their 2-minute responses to these questions. I will raise my hand virtually and physically if you are near the allotted time. We want to note that one candidate was unavailable to attend tonight's event, but we invited them to submit recordings to the same set of questions. We'll be playing those videos after the live candidate responses. In addition to the predetermined questions, we also invited our member owners to submit questions for the candidates ahead of time. We received many thoughtful questions and we'll be selecting a small few to ask the candidates tonight. Candidates will have an opportunity to respond if they choose to. So let's kick off this event with a fun icebreaker. We'll be going in a specific order, so candidates, please pay attention as we go along. I'll give you a prompt and each candidate will have a chance to respond. Let's start with our first candidate, Joanna. Please introduce yourself by sharing your name, your pronouns, and your favorite South Philly Food Co-op product.
Yes, thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Joanna Tomas, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. And one of my favorite things about South Philly is just all of the sweets that they have. So every time I go, I try to pick up a new type of pastry or dessert. And I want to say that just my favorite thing is cereal. So I love the Cashy Cinnamon Harvest cereal. I also love the rice pudding that they have every once in a while by the counter. And I think those are my top 2 desserts.
Nice. So, thanks, Joanna. Tracy, please introduce yourself by sharing your name, pronouns, and your favorite South Philly Food Co-op product.
Hi, everybody. My name is Tracy Crute. My pronouns are she, her. And part of the fun is discovering new things at the co-op, but my current favorite, I bought a few basil plants from the new garden center.
Ooh, nice. Awesome. Sharon, your name, pronouns, and favorite SPFC product.
Hey, my name is Sharon Ulak. I use she, her pronouns, and I am also very motivated by sweets. And I think my favorite product is probably any of the Van Leeuwen's ice creams, especially the non-dairy, the wild berry with the dark chocolate ice cream bars. Those are fantastic. So I highly recommend them.
Nice. And Zaire, please introduce yourself by sharing your name, pronouns, and favorite South Philly Food Co-op product.
Sure. Hi, I'm Zaire Durant Young. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm going to make a controversial pivot. My favorite snack there is the jalapeno cheese curls. And I feel like there's a conspiracy because every time I've gone recently, there's either been one bag that's kind of crushed or there've been none left. But yes, my wife and I fight over them often. I think they're delicious.
Cool. See, I love this question because I get to now know what to get next time I go to the co-op. Great. Yeah, no, thanks so much for sharing. Wonderful to hear all your favorite items. Cool. And now, since we've broken the ice, I think it's time to move on to our main event. We'll begin. Oh, I forgot Brad. Are we going to play Brad's now? Or okay, we are.
Yeah, appreciate everybody's patience. We have one candidate who wasn't able to attend today, but he submitted a video response. So I'm sharing my screen. I think that I'm sharing my sound.
Mm-hmm.
Let me know if this does not work.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brad Hoover, and my pronouns are he, him. The icebreaker question here, my favorite co-op product right now is probably a toss-up between the Lancaster Farms eggs and Joaquin's hummus.
Cool. Thanks, Brad. Okay, so now I think we'll move on to the main event. The first question for the list of predetermined questions was, why do you want to be a member of the South Philly Food Co-op's Board of Directors. I think for this one, we'll start off with Sharon.
Sorry, not only did I not unmute myself, I then closed out of the screen. So that was a lot to fix. Thank you, Beckett. So my name is Sharon Ulak, and I have been living in South Philadelphia for over 4 years now. And I am seeking re-election after being on the board of directors for the last 2 years. And I was just previously the treasurer. And I have to start off by saying that I'm proud of my time on the board and what we've accomplished during the 2 years that I've been on the board, especially in the last year with joining NCG and participating in we've had several equity drives, but especially the one in the last fall where we raised, $80,000 in equity for the co-op. And I am looking forward to continuing that momentum and continuing with my contributions to the co-op board.
Great, thanks, Sharon. Our next candidate is Joanna. Why do you want to be a member of the South Philly Food Co-op's Board of Directors?
Yeah, thank you. I think just being in the neighborhood and just looking at different ways to be involved and be more a part of kind of the things that are getting done around South Philly. I think that there was a lot of option, and I think when I came across South Philly Co-op, I immediately wanted to join because I definitely loved the mission and vision of the board and the reason why there's this community store. And ever since then, I kind of wanted to find other ways to get involved other than just to be a member owner and support the store by shopping there. And so when I read in the newsletter that this was an option, I figured why not go ahead and apply to see if this is something that, I might be selected for. So therefore, here I am.
Great. Thank you, Joanna. Zaire, why do you want to be a member of the South Philly Food Co-op's Board of Directors?
Hi, Beckett. Similar to Sharon, I'm running for re-election, and I've really enjoyed my 2-year term so far on the board. For me, I think it's because I just want to continue trying to find ways to reach out to not only member owners, but also just shoppers who come to the store who aren't members owner and the community at large. I think something that's been really cool for me is being able to be on the membership committee during my time and understanding like how much actual effort and planning goes into any kind of outreach. It may seem like there's small events that are going on, little things, but even things like tabling. We have flavors that's coming up soon. Any event that's going on, just seeing how much timing and effort and planning goes into it has been something that's really awesome to see. And just continuing to work with staff. Like I'm super biased, but I've said this before, I'll say it again. I feel like the co-op's one of the friendliest places to actually go on the app. You pop in, no matter who's working, someone's always friendly, people are smiling. It's a great place to be. So I think just continuing to try to engage folks and bring people in who haven't had the opportunity to experience that, that's something that I'm excited about. Hopefully trying to continue to be able to do.
Awesome. Great. Thanks, Zaire. Tracy, why do you want to be a member of the South Philly Food Co-op's Board of Directors?
Yeah, the South Philly Food Co-op's mission-driven work aligns really strongly with the value that I place on actively engaging with and supporting my community. It's a community-owned small business with a powerful mission. I would love the opportunity to serve alongside of my neighbors to further that mission. Community is important to me. I want to contribute actively and meaningfully to the co-op's continued success.
Awesome. Thanks, Tracy. And our last candidate, Brad, will be answering virtually.
Yes, I'm going to do this again.
Ooh. That was tough.
Okay.
So getting into this first question, who are you? Well, I was born and raised in Florida. I went to St. Petersburg College before transferring later to the University of Central Florida to study aerospace engineering. After that, my first professional position took me out to San Jose, California, where I met my Philadelphia born and raised fiance. From California, we bounced around a bit out to Denver. Then I went to Burlington, Vermont, right before finally moving back to Philadelphia to settle down and plan a wedding that is coming up in September. And I just moved to Philly, I believe it was June of last year. My partner and I spend a good portion of our time raising our rambunctious pit bull and his two siblings, a 12-year-old tortoiseshell cat and a new rescue kitten that we just got. In my spare time, I play basketball and volleyball. I try to hit the gym occasionally. Lately, I've been riding my bike around the city, and I would definitely consider myself a travel junkie. I'm currently recording this video from Costa Rica. I'm interested in joining the board of directors because I personally pay a lot of attention to the food that I eat. You know, from the quality of the products to the way that they are sourced and who profits most from my purchases. These are all things that I pay a lot of attention to. So it's a big part of my life, and I would like to give back to the store and the community around it by volunteering my time. I believe I can help support the store, and I expect it'll be fun to learn some specifics about how a small business operates. And I also hope to meet some neighbors and maybe even make some new friends.
I think I forgot the who are you part to the first question. Does anybody want to feel free to add a who are you? But if not, we can move on to our second question. But if not, hey, are you doing the second question?
Yes, I'll jump in here with the second question. So if folks want to add, who are you? You can tell us in this response. Thanks so much, though, everybody, for being here and for engaging with us in this conversation. It's exciting to get to know all of our candidates a little bit better. So we're going to do the same exact thing that we just did. I'll sort of offer the prompt, and then I'll call on our candidates in a randomized order to respond to the prompt. So we'll tack on this additional question, like who are you, if you would like to respond to that. Additionally, we'll ask, what do you think South Philly Food Co-op adds to our community? And what kinds of interests or perspectives or qualities or skills are you excited to contribute to the board? And also, what kinds of lived experiences, professional experiences, volunteer experiences do you think you'd bring to the team? And these are just offerings, so you don't have to feel pressured to answer all of those questions. We will start with Zaire.
Okay, I'll say who I am. I am a very tired school speech language pathologist who has, I don't know, I think we have 20 days of school left. Maybe we have 80. I'm not sure. We have a lot. It's never going to end. I'm going to answer the first part of the prompt. I was actually thinking about this recently. I had some friends who were from out of town, visiting from Boston. And one of the things they noticed as we walked around the neighborhood was the lack of chains, like really big chain stores that we have, and how many just smaller businesses there are. And I think that's something that the South Philly Food Co-op continues to bring to the community, is that it really is a local business. You think about the people who work in the store, you think about the people who shop in the store, you think about the folks who, turn up at events that the store is offering. And I think that's something that's really, really big. I think that also means that you have faces that you recognize, that you see, people's names. There's human interaction. And I think that's huge, especially considering what the last few years looked like for so many folks. I think that's just something that's really amazing. I think it also just allows another outlet for people to be able to voice their opinions on things, ask questions, find out information, and just really try to engage and interact, again, with folks who are helping to make decisions for the store.
Thanks, Zaire. So now we'll go to Sharon. Who are you? What do you think the co-op adds to the community? What do you want to add to the team?
Thank you. So I am also very tired. I am a mom, and I have a 1-year-old who is just screaming downstairs. So I apologize if I seem slightly scattered right now. I am also an attorney. I've been an attorney for the city of Philadelphia at this point, I think for a cumulative at least 7 years, but I've exclusively been a government attorney for the almost 10 years that I've been practicing law. I actually moved to Philadelphia to go to Temple Law School, and I haven't left. I absolutely love it here. And moving into the second question, I kind of feel silly almost answering this question in this way, but I feel like the co-op really adds a larger sense of community to South Philadelphia. It is a place where, local brands and local companies get highlighted and promoted. It's a great place to go shop for all sorts of locally sourced products. And I also feel like the co-op has connected us even during this pandemic. I know that we have not been able to maybe do as many events as we would like to do, but I feel like being a member of this co-op has just always made me feel connected to the South Philadelphia community and my neighbors, even when, we're all wearing masks and we don't really get the chance to talk to each other and interact. I think that this store has really tried throughout this entire time to be that source of community, even when perhaps we've been disconnected. And I know that now we are able to do more events and participate more. And I just kind of see that continuing to grow. And that's just, one thing that I really love about the co-op and what I think it really brings to South Philly.
Thanks, Sharon. We will move to Joanna. I see that you've joined us virtually, so excited to see you. Do you want to tell us who you are, what you think the co-op brings to the community, and what kind of experiences you would bring to the board of directors?
Yeah, sure. So I'm not from the area. I'm actually from Oregon, and I came out here for similar to Sharon for grad school. And then I kind of just fell in love with Philadelphia and wanted to stay. So I actually was able to find a job in town in community development. And I work for United Way of Greater Philadelphia and Southern New Jersey as a program associate, specifically for a new nonprofit called The Promise. And we specialize in poverty alleviation in the city of Philadelphia. So I think that for me, not only would, being a part of the board be something that I definitely feel passionately about, but also something that I can definitely see the skills that I currently do in my job translate very well into this one. And so not only do I fundraise and kind of meet community members in Philadelphia, but I also have experience working abroad for Peace Corps in Paraguay, where I was a community health volunteer. And so I know the importance of nutrition. I also know the importance of living in areas that are food deserts. And so what a store means to a community. And I feel like as someone who has had, many issues, health issues, and have to really be careful on what I eat, I think that this store provides not only healthy alternatives, but also the necessary nutrition that anybody like myself could easily walk to and is easily accessible. So I just see this as a great way for me to, one, be able to demonstrate my skills in a different field and in a different capacity, but also be able to kind of elevate the work that you all have done so far in South Philly Co-op.
Thanks, Joanna. I'm glad you're here. So we'll go to Tracy. You want to tell us a little bit about who you are, what you think the co-op adds to the community, and what you're excited to bring to the team?
Yeah, sure. I'm an avid traveler and continual learner. I enjoy photography, street art, community service, and cooking. I moved to Philadelphia in 2007 after living in cities around the US, mostly along the Mid-Atlantic, the Southeast, and the Midwest. But I really feel like I found my sense of place in Philly, and especially South Philly. I've lived here in South Philly since 2012 with my partner Brian, not too far from the co-op in Lower Moyamensing. And I think that the co-op adds vitality to our community. It serves as both a welcoming destination as well as a hub that it's that connector to other businesses, particularly local businesses. There's a sense of community built into the experience of shopping at the co-op, which at least one other person mentioned. Products by local businesses are highlighted on the shelves. You can witness the growing community of member owners being tracked near the registers. It's a host to a number of events throughout the year, ranging from food sampling to art making, those tiles on the back patio, to making space for other businesses to promote their products and missions. And so I think it's a very special place that has an impact much larger than its square footage. In terms of interests, perspectives, and qualities and skills, I mentioned my interest in cooking, community building, and community service. In terms of perspectives, I'm here as a Gen X representative, a woman in leadership, and a lifelong learner. And qualities and skills, in my candidate statement, I mentioned that professionally I'm a design leader with experience building, scaling, and leading diverse, equitable, multidisciplinary teams dedicated to making software easier to use. I've led teams through uncertainty and change, including hyper-growth stages, which if the co-op hasn't already experienced, it certainly will in the next few years. My teams and my peers have repeatedly credited me as a highly collaborative partner, as well as a calm leader who leads with candor and heart, able to operate both strategically and tactically. I have strong business acumen. I know how to manage large budgets. I think that I could provide some governance. I know that that may not be specifically in our area of responsibility, but I've managed large team budgets. I've also been in situations where I've had to deliver with tight constraints, whether they are budget freezes or low capacity, reduced capacity. And I have some experience with event planning and logistics, as well as team building and training. And I'm eager to continue building those skills, as well as support Lori and her team in whatever ways she'd find useful.
Thanks, Tracy. We're glad you're here also. I'm going to share my screen again, and then this will actually be the last response from our virtual candidate, Brad. After this, we will move into questions from member owners.
What do I think the South Philly Food Co-op adds to our community? So I mentioned this already, that I put a lot of thought into the nutrition decisions that I make. So I think the South Philly Food Co-op gives me a little more control over this by providing options outside of the usual major name brands that are typically motivated, only by profit, not necessarily the long-term health of their customers. So first, that's what I would say, that the co-op provides a healthy and unique approach to feeding the families in our community, while also having the option to support local small businesses. It also provides options for those with special dietary restrictions, which is actually the reason I first walked in the door last year, to find some gluten-free options for myself. What am I excited to contribute to the board? So I'm excited to bring my perspective as a new Philadelphia transplant that lives only a few blocks away. Also, I know what it's like to have difficulty finding foods that match your dietary restrictions without breaking the bank. Finally, I believe that some of the experience I've gained working at a green, non-toxic, in-space propulsion company based in Vermont will be pretty unique on the board. And again, I understand it's a very different industry, but I did start out as employee number 11, and we've now grown to 110 employees. So I've learned a ton along the way on this journey, about scaling, about people leadership, about culture, human resources, just to name a few. So I think that would be a pretty unique perspective. Not everything's going to translate from an aerospace company to, a co-op, but I imagine some of it will. And then more about the experiences that I think I bring to the team. I would say that my years working as an engineer and analyst will prove useful for the data-driven side of governing a company. And then more recently in this new position, the last 4 years or so of people leadership experience will would help with the project and personnel management side of things. I believe that's my time, so thank you for your consideration, and I look forward to meeting some of you later this week.
So Brad is going to join us at the general membership meeting. I know that all of our other candidates will be there too. So we'll have another opportunity to share space with Brad in real time. But thank you everybody for engaging with this second question, and I'll pass it to Eliza.
Hi, so as a mentioned, this is our last question, and we gave member owners an opportunity to submit questions via an online survey, but we're also I want to open it up to other folks who are here in attendance today to see if anybody would like to ask a question in real time. Because the candidates didn't receive this question in advance, there's no preset order and you're not required to answer them. So you can just raise your hand either virtually or actually in your screen, and I will call on you. So are any of the member owners or current board members who are in attendance right now, or Lori, I see, interested in asking a question in real time? If not, I can go to some of the other prompts that we have. Mita, did I see you raise your hand?
Yeah, I did. So having been to the co-op and interested in being on the board, what is something that you've been thinking about possibly spearheading to improve the co-op in any way?
Thank you, Mita. So if any of the candidates are interested in answering, just raise your hand and then I'll go in order. Tracy?
As I was drafting my candidacy statement, I was starting to log a bunch of ideas, and then found that the co-op has already done a lot of this, which is great. So maybe rather than adding to events, I would love to see the co-op, now that people are starting to engage in real life, maybe expand upon the number of events. I saw that there was at least one partnership with it was the back to school challenge with Chef Monica Glass, sharing recipes, and then I've been following on social some of the people who have products in the co-op. It would be awesome if there were opportunities to collaborate beyond the highlight alone, but like expand that relationship into partnering with them and their products. And then I know that I've attended the member appreciation days, but it would be fun if we could maybe expand that into a block party of sorts. Those are some of the things I was thinking about.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to answer? We also have time, I think, if other folks have questions they want to ask. Does that seem okay? I know we said this was the last question, but I think we have half an hour. So if there are other questions. I have one from our prompts that I can ask, which is, how does South Philly Food Co-op's work align with your personal values and vision for our community? And again, if you're interested in answering, just raise your hand and I'll call on you in order.
Tracy, you want to go again?
Sure. I'm pulling this directly from my candidacy statement. The mission aligns very strongly with the value that I place on actively engaging with community. I also believe that while food is absolutely an essential need that everyone should have access to, I also think there's a celebration aspect that brings people together and celebrates our differences and our curiosity and our backgrounds. The combination of those two aspects, I think, is manifested in the co-op and its mission, and also the store's layout and involvement and support for the community.
Sorry, I was muted. Sharon, and then after Sharon, I'll have Zaire.
So I think maybe building off a little bit of what Tracy had just said, you know, I strongly value being invested in my local community. And, you know, I really do think that it's important to prioritize where you are, you know, and I feel like that's where the most change happens, is at the local level. And I think that the co-op's dedication to the local economy and the local community is just a really big part of what I value for myself. I always say that I see my co-op membership as an extension of my investment in South Philadelphia, that, you know, just living here and buying a house here is not the be all and end all of it, that there's also the importance of investing in my community and really being a part of it and participating in it. And, you know, I love that the co-op is at the local events, that we do the events on the Ave, that, you know, the co-op does Roundup and is, you know, donating to a local charity, and they change it every month. And it's sometimes an organization that I've never heard of. And I love that I get to learn something about a different organization that maybe I never would have learned about otherwise. And you know, it's so much more than just a grocery store. But I do love that every time I buy groceries, I can buy it at a place that, you know, values the same things that I do.
Thank you, Sharon. Zaire, you are next.
I'm going to kind of piggyback off of what Tracy and Sharon both said. I think for me, it's the fact that the organizations that, like through the Roundup program, through the local businesses, just the relationships that are being formed are relationships that we're trying to make long lasting. So not just, partnering up with, you know, getting this product in and just for short term, and then we're going to replace it with another one because we need something very new. And even with the Roundup program, just trying to find ways to continue to stay committed to the organizations that we're highlighting through the program each month. I think that's something that's big. I think just kind of in my own personal work that I've done, I've seen my school district try to make partnerships with different community organizations, but it hasn't necessarily had staying power. And at times it's been a bit performative. So I like the aspect that it's not performative. It's, again, are we actually trying to have relationships with these folks outside of the fact that we're a place where people can go and buy groceries and some other products? So I love that aspect of it, trying to, again, continue to make long lasting relationships with different community members and organizations. I think that's something that's huge for me.
Thank you, Zaire. Would any of the other candidates like to answer this question or the one that Mita posed? And are there any other questions that anyone would like to ask? Hey, did you have a question? Or are you going to close us out?
No, I'm going to butt in with a question.
Okay.
Just from our Google form that we shared with member owners to submit questions, one of the questions that was submitted from, shout out to Bridget, a member owner, SPFC, asked this question, like, what do you consider is your superpower that you would bring to South Philly Food Co-op? And we have kind of talked about that a little bit today, and sort of the skills and perspectives that you would like to bring to the team. But I always find this question about superpowers and strengths always helpful to reflect on. So I'm inviting you all into that reflection, and I'd be curious your response.
Joanna? Yeah, I can answer that. I will say that the superpower that I bring is probably networking, the ability to not only be a representative of South Philly Co-op, but be able to go into community and talk about the mission and the vision of this co-op and kind of what the goals are and what we're trying to accomplish, and bringing more members to join, or just bringing more awareness and attention to others that may not know about South Philly Co-op. So I think that, you know, anytime I go into a place, I know exactly what I'm representing, what I'm doing. And I usually have just a basic goal of meeting a new person, talking about what I'm there to do. And it's those little connections that really make a big difference. And so I think that that's one of the superpowers that I can bring, is just connecting more community members to South Philly Co-op if they're not aware or if they don't know about it. But I'm very good about getting the word out.
Great, thank you. Does anyone else have a superpower they would like to share? To hear, you look like you're thinking really hard about this one.
I mean, I feel like this is a setup. I feel like my students wrote this question because I ask them things like this all the time. I'll say this. I muted myself. I feel like I have an answer. I think my superpower is probably using I'm a natural introvert, but using my selective extrovert skills, doing things like tabling. I typically don't talk to strangers. It's not something that I do. It's not something I typically enjoy, but I'll gladly talk to you about what's going on in the store. Owner Appreciation Day, I'll gladly tell you about the specials that are going on. You're walking by with your dog, I'll gladly try to explain to you why you should go inside. I'll watch your dog for you. Go in for a couple of minutes, check things out, come back by. So just doing things like that. And I think it's selective, being a selective extrovert for things that I actually believe in and enjoy too. Like I mentioned before, I really do enjoy the co-op. I think it's a great place. So I'm more than happy to share that. One of the few times I will ever talk to a stranger on a Philadelphia street. But for the co-op, I'll do it.
Thank you for sharing. Sorry, I put you on the spot. Maybe we'll do a final last call if anyone wants to answer their superpower question, or if anyone has a question for our board candidates, please raise your hand or just unmute yourself and jump in. Otherwise, we'll probably wrap up shortly.
I have a quick question. Usually my questions are pretty practical questions about the thing. So for the newer candidates, you've heard about finance committee, membership committee, governance committee is the one who creates a lot of the protocols, processes, voting, and this kind of activity. What is it that, and we all help among each other as needed. We share some of the responsibilities, are in multiple committees as needed. But where do you think you would shine, or you'd be interested to be in that kind of committee and really shine and be able to make the most, have the most benefit?
just add some context to that question, Mita, and feel free to jump in and correct me or add additional context, Mita. So like, I think committees on the board would be like the finance committee, which thinks about our budget and finances, does a lot of reporting and work with Lori on where we're at financially at the store. We have the governance committee, which is what Mita was mentioning, sort of governs our bylaws and our policy register and facilitates processes like this, like the election process. And then our membership committee, which really focuses on sort of like event planning and the direct relationship between the co-op and our community. So I think, Mita, your question is, you know, for our board candidates, between those three committees, membership, finance, or governance, which one of those feels like a place where you could shine or add to?
Yeah, I can go. I think for me, it would be the membership committee, just because I do like, you know, talking to strangers and going out. I'm the opposite of Zaire. I'm an extrovert and love meeting new people. So I think that, you know, with that ability, and because on a regular basis, I'm always coordinating events for my job, I think that I would love to take on, you know, these projects where you do have days of, you know, membership events or any type of in-person thing, or even taking this, you know, potential future board meetings and doing them in person at some, you know, local business near the co-op. So I definitely love to take on the responsibility of event planning and the membership side of things.
Thanks, Joanna. Tracy, if you want to go next.
Sure, thank you. It was the membership committee that I was immediately gravitating towards, but and also, and I'm really drawn to the governance committee too. This past year and a half-ish, I was drafting a lot of governance and processes for the organization that I was in, and found that I really, really loved it. There's something about assisting others by putting up some guardrails and frameworks that like I saw the impact, more importantly, so the people who were on the receiving end of that work. But I really enjoyed it too. So if there is an opportunity to be on multiple committees, those are the two. Mentioned earlier, I have experience managing budgets, but that isn't the committee that really draws me. Happy to pitch in as needed, but it's the other two that that are vying for my attention.
I just jump in and make a quick pitch for the finance committee here, because it's actually a lot of fun. And I'm sorry, Zaire, but we're just going to have to take this one offline. But I have to say that I was not somebody who thought that I would be on finance committee. I joke that I'm a lawyer by design. That's intentional because I don't like math, but it's actually a lot of fun and I have very much enjoyed it. I was thinking about my superpower. It's not an exciting one, but I always think that I'm highly analytical, which I think it is a good skill to have. It's just not as good as being able to connect with strangers. But I do really like the finance committee. There's a lot of opportunity to, you know, analyze and pitch in and really help with the co-op's growth. So I'm just going to give a little bit of love to the finance committee, even though the last question was not directed towards me, and I am sorry for doing that.
In general, I think all the committees are great. I just have to put a little pitch in. I've been in the board for a few years in all the committees except governments, and I respect so much what the governance committee, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that, but I've been in the finance, and membership is the newest. So, and but lovely, you know, listening to all of you and getting to know all of you. Thank you, governance, for putting this together.
Well, thank you to all of you for attending. A, do you want to close us out?
Sure. Yeah, so I just want to say thanks everybody for being here. Thank you so much, Tracy, Sharon, Zaire, Joanna, and Brad, our virtual candidate, for all participating tonight. It's been great to just share space with you all and learn a little bit more about who you are. I'm gonna stop our recording now, and then I'll just like close out our meeting.